A survey of what are the European Commission collaborative research instruments that we presently have. Okay, so this starts back from whole idea coming from Commissioner for Research, Philippe Busquin, back in 2000, about the European Research Area concept. So he mentions that the European Commission funds less than 5% of the European Union research effort. It means that 95% of the research effort is conducted in the member states, apart from the EC efforts on research. So his conclusion that there was a need for better coordination between the European Commission and member states. This was in 2000, this was 12 years ago. Okay, now what are the instruments that we have? So there are the ERANET and ERANET Plus, which were already mentioned. The S3 on infrastructure and with the ERIC consortia, the ETP and GTI, European Technology Platform and Joint Technology Initiatives, and finally Article 185, formerly called Article 169. ERANETs. So ERANETs, the objectives here is to step up the cooperation and coordination of research activities carried out at national or regional levels in the member states and associated states, through the networking of research activities conducted at the national or regional level, mutual opening of national and registered research programs. And so we have on one side initially ERANET, which is only on the exchange of information and best practices, joint research activities, joint research programs funded by the member states only, and the EC only funds the coordination, so not the research programs. While ERANET Plus is the same, plus the fact that the Commission co-funds joint research programs together with the member states. It is presently 1/3 of the member state funding, and Alice, you said that maybe it may raise up to 50%. 1/3 nowadays, and maybe half in the future. Okay, now we go to another instruments with the infrastructure, European Research Infrastructure, the S3. So nowadays we have about 100 S3s in all areas, and we have one, CLARIN, which was also mentioned, on language resources and technology for human and social sciences. So it's in the area of human and social sciences. Together with the S3, so a new instrument called the European Research Infrastructure Consortium, the ERIC, which is a legal entity managing an S3. It is created through European Commission decision, so it's up to the Commission to create those ERIC. And presently there are two ERICs, and very fortunately, one is CLARIN, the other one is called SHARE, on support to the age people, and CLARIN so on resources, language resources and technology for human and social sciences. And here, so it's a joint member states and associated states funding of infrastructure. And then here there is no more EC funding, while the Commission comes to fund the preparatory phase of the infrastructure and of the ERIC. And regarding CLARIN, so there are presently 9 member states, if I'm right, Stephen and Jan, and a targeted budget of roughly €1 million for coordination. Okay, we go now to a European technology platform, and here we have 36 of such platforms nowadays, with 9 in ICT. It is industry-led stakeholder fora, so it's really oriented towards industry. It's a kind of think tank for the European Commission, and it's also the way to network the community, and especially the industrial community in each field. From that, so they created the Joint Technology Initiative, JTI, and nowadays we have 5 GTIs, and 2 are in ICT, one on microelectronics, ENIAC, and the other one on embedded systems, Artemis. And so here the GTIs are supposed to support large-scale multinational research activities in areas of major interest to European industrial competitiveness and issues of high societal relevance. So it's the same as the platforms, but there is a plus. It can conduct private-public partnership programs, and including the financing of those programs coming from the European Commission. Okay, finally, the last instrument is the so-called Article 185. It used to be called Article 169, the previous treaty, so the new treaty of the functioning of the European Union. It's called Article 185, and it says that in implementing the multi-annual framework program, the Union may make provision in agreement with the member states concerned for participation in research and development programs undertaken by several member states, including participation in the structures created for the execution of those programs. So member states get together, decide to do something in one field, and the Commission supports this program. So there are not so many Article 185 projects for the time being. The very first one was in FP6 framework program, and this is on partnership between European and development countries on clinical trials. A budget of 200 million euro coming from the member states, matching funds from the European Commission, 200 million euros, and automatically industries bring 200 million euros as well. And so it means a 600 million euro program. In FP7, 3 more on ambient assisted living, AAL, 150 million from the Commission, 150 million from the member states. Metrology, and here the same, 200 million euro coming from the Commission, 200 million euro from the member states, plus the industrial participation, of course. And the last one is bonus on Baltic Sea research, and this has 50 million coming from the Commission and 50 million coming from the member states. And there is another program called Capacities, and here there is a project on the support to SMEs, innovative SMEs, and here the budget coming from the member states is 300 million, and 1/3 comes from the Commission, so plus 100 million euros. Okay, what is the selection process? So the point is that it's a difficult process. It needs a joint decision of the European Parliament, it means a vote of the Parliament, and of the European Council. Criteria are relevance to the European Union objectives, a clear definition of the objectives and its relevance to FP objectives, the presence of pre-existing bases, it means already existing programs, research programs in the different member states, to show the European added value, to show a critical mass with regard to the size and the number of programs involved and the similarity of activities they cover, and the efficiency of Article 185 as the most appropriate means for achieving the objectives. The goals of the Commission is to gather a critical mass that can be reached in certain research areas, ensuring better use of scarce resources. Through joint actions, common answers can be found, common needs and interests. Global issues can be addressed at the European Union level, and common approaches can be developed. This is especially on ethics dimension, standards and so on. And finally, the member states involved are given the opportunity to exchange good practices and learn from each other. The Commission asked for a clear and firm commitment from the participating member states, a well-prepared joint program, including priorities, and a well-organized implementation structure. The implementation of the program goes through the establishment of previous existence of a legal so-called dedicated implementation structure, DIS. It should exist before the decision in order to get the funding coming from the Commission and eventually from the member states. And this DIS takes care of the program management, general management, and calls for proposals, project selections and follow-up, financial management, including the one coming from the European Union, and also contractual management between the member states and the framework program associated states. Okay, so my feeling is that language technology would be well fitted for Article 185. It's a high societal challenge on multilingualism existing in the European Union. Language technologies needs a major investment. If you look at the number of language technologies multiplied by the number of languages we have in Europe, at least 23. The industrial coverage for the time being on language technology is mostly for SMEs, so we may think that it's not well fitted for a platform or for GTIs, which is more for very large company, very large industrial environment. There is obviously an interest, I hope, of member states, associated states and regions to support their language or languages when there are several. There should be an interest of the European Union to allow communication among citizens and also between citizens and business and among business. There is a specific interest of European Union bodies for their own needs. If you look at the needs of the European Commission, the European Parliament, the European Patent Office, the European Court of Justice, the European Intelligence Agency, they all have needs in terms of multilingualism and therefore of language technologies. And finally, the importance to have someone to ensure the coordination, and namely the European Commission in terms of best practices, standards and technology evaluation, for example. So here, European Union understood these needs, and I would like to remind that back in November 2008, there is a resolution of the European Council on the European Strategy on Multilingualism, which specifically encourages the development of language technologies, in particular in the field of translation and interpretation, firstly by promoting cooperation between the Commission, the Member States, local authorities, research bodies and industry, and secondly by ensuring convergence between research programs, the identification of areas of application, and the deployment of the technologies across all EU languages. So, the European Union goes in that direction, the Council voted such a resolution. Where are we now? Okay, so we go now to the panel discussion. So the title of this panel is How to Initiate and Structure the Cooperation between the Member State or regional level and the European level. So possibly with those instruments, and I would raise it asking, should we consider a joint program between the European Commission and Member States, associated states and regions on language technology for multilingualism, if we think that multilingualism is as important for Europe as is research on the Baltic Sea or meteorology, for example. So this question is addressed to the Member States representatives who are in this panel, but also the ones who may be in the room, European Commission representative, if any, in that room, researchers, industrials in general, whole community, and politicians, and maybe more generally speaking, also the European Union citizens. So if so, which instrument is best suited? What is the efficiency? Do we have a measure of the efficiency of those various instruments? What should be the size of the effort? How to proceed and how to address a specific problem of the less resources, or we can call them weakly or fragmentary supported languages, which were mentioned by your Czech colleague. So now the floor is yours, and maybe if you want to raise some points about these different questions.